family, how is everybody doing? Get your libations. Not going to be a long show. But get your libations. Get everything you need to get through the episode that we're going to do here. I know people have been having a lot to say, but we did the call-in show. But we still gonna have some time. So I want to make sure everybody gets what you need. Please hit that like button for me as well while you are in here. As people are trailing in, please hit that like button. Please share. If you want to donate, as always, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. Any of the things that you want to do, you can do. But make sure you hit that bell or double check that bell to make sure you'll get notifications. I usually also try to at least when I go live, throw it up on Twitter. So if you're wondering and you're not getting your bell, just make sure you check your Twitter if you tweet. I usually put it up too at the Facebook account. So Breaking Brown, Facebook, Yvette Carnell, my personal, and my other page. So check those if you want to know. And for some reason, if those other things have not been working for you, please try these. Not announcing the book club tonight either. I was going to do it, then I thought about it. I got to rethink some things. I'm going back and forth on this one. I'm not sure. So anyway, family, we are here, and we have to talk about something. It ain't going to take a lot to talk about, but we still have to have a conversation about it. Anyway, listen. There is something going on. I'm not going to sing the song, but there is something going on right now. Now, let me tell you something. There are some things, family. There are some things that we have to shed. I know a lot of you are feeling somewhat apprehensive. The pressure is on about voting Democratic down ballot. What y'all gonna do that for? You gonna mess up everything for everybody who wants butter biscuit. We ain't gonna have no gravy. We ain't gonna have no butter. What are you doing? And the question that we have to ask is gravy for who and butter for who? Because I saw this. Let me see if I can bring it up. I saw this, right? And it said something. This was Joe Madison on Twitter. And he said, let's be real. Unless you have Joe Biden as president, and Democrats controlling the Senate and the House, a contract with Black America isn't worth the paper it is written on. Republicans won't pass any of these demands. And there's a number there to devote. There's a number there where you can, sign up to vote or register or whatever. And I'm all in favor of people registering to vote. I got no issue with that. But I want you to read very carefully what he says. Okay, he's saying you don't have a shot. If the Democrats don't get in there, you ain't got a shot. You ain't got a chance. Well, I want you all, we do politics here. We don't play games. And I want, in terms of politics, I want everybody to understand what signaling looks like. Now, signaling is when you suggest a certain thing and you're going to suggest a certain thing and you don't have to say it all the way out because the people who know what that thing is know what it is. Kind of like dog whistling, but different. Just a slight difference. So he says that you're going to have a Democrat in there to get it done. And ain't no chance with Republicans. I agree. I don't see a chance with them either. But understand what the Biden campaign is saying. Please understand what they're saying. When we get in, the pantry is going to be bare, said Mr. Kaufman, who is leading Mr. Biden's transition team. When you see what Trump has done to the deficit, all the deficits that he built with incredible tax cuts. So we're going to be limited. We're going to be limited. What he is telling you, family. What is being signaled here for those who are saying, well, we ain't gonna have no chance. Now you might get a black agenda with an ADOS agenda, ADOS reparations, the heartbeat of a black agenda. You might get that with Biden, but you sure ain't gonna get it with Trump. We just don't know with Biden. We know what we get. They said it. This is not even about something I built up or something I brought and I'm talking about. The campaign just told you, listen, we got to deal with the deficit. That means no reparations. That means all you people on the left. That means no Green New Deal. That means Bernie sold you all the way out. What you going to do about it? You going to barbecue a mildew, boo-boo? Because he sold you all the way out. You ain't got nothing coming. But the cupboard is bare. They're telling you ain't no monies. We just got to try to get the monies back right. The monies is gone. Trump gave away all the monies, and he did. He blew a hole in it. But what they're telling you is that not that we're going to do some kind of transformational thing and really just kind of do something for the people. That's not what he's telling you. What Biden's campaign is telling you is that we finished. And it's not just us, but I'm concerned about us because that's what I advocate for. But he's telling everybody, no. Pump your brakes. We done. So when you know that is done, what you kind of know, or what you should know, at least in the back of your head, is that all this stuff people have been going around talking about is done too. A lot of stuff needs to be done with that. Listen, hey, Reverend Barbara, I see what you said to the tweet. You said this can't be the attitude. Let me bring it up bigger so everybody can see what you said. This is the wrong attitude. We must have bold reconstruction type action. Trump has not been limited in his meanness and injustice. If you win, you can't be limited in your action for justice. Let me tell you something, Reverend Barbara. Those are just words, my dear. Those are just words, and he won't care. You're just talking. You're just saying things. You're just talking. You're just kind of yelling into the wind, right? We can talk all day, but they told you what they gonna do and what they ain't gonna do. See, we have this whole problem, kind of, let me bring this down a little bit, but we have this whole problem that we need to fix in the sense of, it's almost like every 4 years we decide that we don't understand that what worked in 1 year or 1 decade or a generation ago might not work this time. Somehow, I don't know how, you think that telling them that you have to do the right thing, you think that telling Jim Crow Joe Biden, you can't think this way, you have to be bold. When has Joe Biden ever been bold? He has always just played around with segregationists as a way for Democrats, the same way Bill Clinton did in a lot of ways, but not so in your face, but in a way for Democrats to play Republican light and get more white votes. That's all it's been about. They don't care about you, Reverend Bobby. They don't care about me. They don't care about what our people. Now, the thing that has to happen is, and the thing you have to ask yourself, and I got to ask myself, and everybody got to ask themselves. I've already answered it for myself. Barbara, are you going to continue to play this game that you know you're going to lose? Like, if you play a card game, right, and you know you're going to lose, you don't have any choice but to play that hand out. Now, maybe something happens during the thing, or if you, depending on what game you're playing, you get a different card that changes everything, but you got to play that hand. The problem that we have right now is that there is another hand that you can play, and ain't too many people deciding to play that hand. See, Democratic down ballot is that hand that you can play right now that not enough people are deciding to play. And I'm talking about people in power. Because Biden also said a long time ago, you remember he told the donors, nothing would dramatically, fundamentally change if he's elected. He's been saying this for a long time. He ain't surprising nobody. So don't get in there and say, Biden, we voted for you and we expected more of you and you ain't giving us the change we asked for. He told you he wasn't going to do it. And he just, his transition team lead just said, no, they right. He ain't going to do it. So the question then becomes, what are you going to do? If they not going to do it, family, if they not going to do it, then who going to do it? You're going to just say, well, we tried. But what we going to do once they get in there, we're going to hold them accountable. Hold them accountable how? Because how we usually hold people accountable is re-electing them. So please tell me how you going to hold him accountable. Barbara, how you going to hold him accountable? The man done said who he is. This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. He told you. What y'all doing? What you think he did? This is you, and let me see if I can find this other thing. I don't know what everybody thinks that they gonna do, because I don't see nobody doing nothing. Everybody's talking a good game. Well, I tell you what, I know what I'm gonna say. If he da-da-da-da-da-da, I'm gonna say da-da-da-da-da-da-da. If he say da-da-da-da-da-da, I'm gonna say da-da-da-da-da-da. What kind of ragtag thing is this? I'm not understanding. And see, let me just bring this up really quick. There's a lot of stuff that I don't understand about what people are talking about. People talking real tough. Y'all know that Al said he going up there for the march. Don't ask me what kind of march. He going to do the COVID march. Don't ask me what kind. That's another thing that just ain't gonna work. I can understand. I can absolutely understand if we have a combustion of protests, right? And even the sort of organized ones that came right after that, because you're trying to put pressure on the streets to get politicians to move in a certain direction. I understand that. I don't understand why you playing this, except for the fact that you're mimicking King and everybody who came before you and who was better than you. No, at a certain point, you got to understand that you're not that person. You're not built that way. You go, you got the Trader Joe's at the bottom of where you live, and you go and you drink what the people on Wall Street drink and whatever. You do that kind of stuff. Eat whatever you do. I don't even know if you eat. I think so you eat a banana and a salad now. I don't know what you do over there no more. But the point of the matter is, sometimes you just got to understand the stuff that you're not built for. A march for what? A march during the middle of COVID for what? Some stuff we just got to understand. It ain't going to work, and it ain't meant to work. It ain't built to work, and you ain't built to do it. You don't get to march now, though. See, there's some people that just should be finished. Listen, if you decided, I don't mean no disrespect, but if you decided to use all of your political capital for the lack of a better word, if you decided to use all of your advocacy and all of that stuff, and instead of using it for ADOS people, if y'all go back and watch that 60-minute interview, go back and watch that interview. That interview, Al Sharpton said, I'm not criticizing Barack Obama during the first term. Well, if you're going to renegotiate what happens in the second term, you have to do that during the first term. See, we had a political novice and a street corner preacher advocating for us in the White House, and that's why Obama chose you to do that, because he knew what you were. Some of us did not. It's not going to work. Hey, listen, if it was going to work, I'd be down with it. I say go with it, knock yourself out. It's just not going to work. It ain't going to work. None of this stuff, Barbara, you talking, Al Sharpton, your march. The only thing that works is holding these people accountable. What they worry about is power. They don't worry about your feelings, what you think, how you feel. Reverend Barbara, a lot of these people you're dealing with are Christians in name only. They don't care about the Bible except to use it to get themselves reelected. Don't you see? Don't you have enough discernment to know the fake Christian from the real Christian? Or do you lose your vision because they have a Democrat behind their name? I just want to understand, because Reverend Barbara, I remember when Marion Williamson was down there with you talking about reparations, and you got very uncomfortable. So I want to know what you're working with too. I got a lot of questions. See, because, what you have to understand is that people always talk about, you have to, what them old raggedy presidents say, walk soft and carry a big stick. We walk loud with no stick. That is what we do as ADOS. Walk real loud with no stick. Well, this is what we're going to do. That's not going to work. None of that's going to work. So when you realize what won't work, and especially is, listen, rest in peace because I can't even keep up at this point with the murders and killings of ADOS people in the street, right? Police, 2 of them. We had one, and I think it was Wisconsin, another one, and we had Louisiana. I can't keep up. The same things that have been happening are still happening. Somebody says Theodore Roosevelt. The same things that have been happening will keep happening unless we change. We have to, you gotta, I have a friend who says all the time, you gotta change the gate you got. When this stuff happens, you have to change how you walk in the world. And as a collective, this stuff you doing, everybody from everybody want to play Dr. King. Let me tell you, in this era, Dr. King wouldn't even be Dr. King. He would have a different approach. Why don't y'all figure out something? Why is there no political imagination? You're just regurgitating everything that came before you, and you're scared to do something new. And I'm tired of Christians talking about how scared they is. Y'all got a lot of fear in y'all. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't think that's the way you're supposed to be. Can't lead nobody. Can't lead nobody that's scared. Here we go. Reverend Al finna do a march. How many marches you done? I'm so tired of the street preacher without a church. At least if you had a church, I would feel comfortable calling you reverend. You don't have a church. You don't lead a flock. I'm not interested. Nobody's interested. It's not going to work. You're not going to get Biden or Kamala to change. And maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you just want to make sure Trump don't get in there because the way y'all talk, Trump is our reparations. Maybe that's what y'all want. But this stuff is stupid. And enough of us need to realize that it's stupid and it won't work and try to do something different. And you got to be willing. Listen, there shouldn't even be no heat that comes from it. But if to the extent that there is, you should be willing to take it. It's just what's got to happen. See, because when I said the mimicry, you have people mimicking king, right? And you have other kinds of mimicry. Well, we mimic the values of other people. When we go vote, most of the time, these are not values that we gave ourselves. These are values somebody else gave us. And then there's a whole group of people that kind of interpret what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to think. We have this little Boule group. Now understand, it's not even a group. It's like a group of small aberrations who have kind of exaggerated who they are and their own importance. You see this Economist article, our kind of people, America's black upper class and Black Lives Matter. There is no black upper class. There are only Boule individual Negroes who think they can get away. We got a lot of runners. And listen, I don't have no problem necessarily with you having something. That's not my issue. And if you do something good, like the case with Byron, I'll side with you. I'm not just going to be opposed to you because you have wealth. That's not who I am. But stop talking about these people like these people are a class of people. When you see the bottom 50% of black households worth less than $1, no, that's not a class. These are aberrations. That's who they are. Right? That's who they are. We have, we have Mr. Al Sharpton who sided with Comcast for whatever he got that was allegedly that was not disclosed, and he's charging for tickets to go to this march or whatever. Always a way to make $1 and do some things to get people up there. To what end? You know the best way to have energy throughout your day to do and meet your needs and meet your agenda and do what you want to do and move how you want to move with your priorities is to not waste energy. If you want energy, you better make doggone well you don't waste it. If you run, you kind of make sure that you run, you have a good form so that you're not flailing your arms all out and wasting energy. You are not to waste energy. There's a lot of wasted energy going on right now. I'm tired of the National Action Network and they P.O. boxes. A P.O. box is not an organization. It's not a grassroots movement. That's not what this is. Marching for what? Biden ain't going to be moved. Trump ain't going to be moved. You know why? Because especially Biden knows, although we vote for Democrats, they know that these Negroes ain't going nowhere. Al ain't going nowhere. He ain't leaving us. He's going to say something and say, hey, do this and we want you to do that. And he ain't going to do nothing. He ain't going to go nowhere. They know how they got you, Al. They know they got you in quite the pickle. And when you in quite the pickle, when you in quite the pickle, you got quite a pickle. You in quite the pickle. You got to make it look. See, a lot of people stay in the business of making it look like they did something. We marched here. We went here. Every week I do this. Every Thursday I do this. Every Thursday. Now, if it's a good plan and you do it every Thursday, even if you ain't gotten all the way you need to go, that's one thing. But it's interesting to me that ADOS was able to get reparations into the conversation, has everybody writing about it, and you've been doing something every Thursday for decades, and nothing has moved. It doesn't make sense. We have to understand that a brand isn't a movement and a movement isn't a brand. You just want the Reverend Al Sharpton brand, and you want the National Action Network brand. People want their brand. That is not a movement. You are not willing to speak truth to power, Al. As a matter of fact, when you were with Obama, you were the pit bull for the White House. You didn't speak truth to power. You protected power. And that man sent you outside, as I've said before, in the snow without an umbrella or a hat. Now, who would do that to somebody? I'm not even going to put the picture up. I put the picture up enough. But who would he that? Obama sent you outside without a hat. Now, you know your perm ain't supposed to get wet like that. He did that on purpose to you. And you still supported that man. He made your hair all frizzy and you still supported him. Had y'all outside in the snow talking about y'all met with Obama and you didn't get nothing. Y'all remember that? If you don't remember it, Google it. Go look for it. It's there. So let's get back to these people, because we have to talk about the Boule silliness, because there's a lot of silliness in the world. But we have to talk about this too, because this has an outsized influence. So we talk about the mimicry, right? But you have to talk about how the mimicry is connected to a certain group, a very small group, and what they have to say. And we have to pick apart some of the stupid stuff that they say. So they're talking about, I don't know if you all remember, but let's bring it up. But I'll bring up the picture first so you can have a picture in your mind of who I'm talking about. They're talking about him, right? Him and his little wannabe Boule family, right? Okay. They think they're elite. Okay. So Lawrence Otis Graham recalls when he first met Kamala Harris last summer in Martha's Vineyard. It was at the holiday home of Spike Lee, a film director who held the $1,500 a head fundraiser for the woman who is now number 2 on the Democratic ticket. She is the new Barack for us, says the Thrill Graham, an author and property lawyer from New York. By us, Graham means African Americans, and in particular, the glitziest end of the African American societies. Hold on to that. The glitziest end of African American society. Now, I want you to hold on to that for a very specific reason. I want you to hold on to it because of this. Understand when he says Kamala is for us, what he's not talking about me. He's not talking about you. And you have to understand the people who are pushing Kamala onto me and you and people like us are people like him. They are the people you see on the news, the Boule or whatever, who are saying, oh, there's all sorts of, it's all sorts of excitement around Kamala. Well, that's very interesting because Kamala never ran better than third amongst African Americans. So it's very interesting that, because they don't break them down in terms of ADOS versus African American. So it's very interesting that she never ran better than third, but y'all on the news now telling me, y'all on the news telling me now, oh my goodness, Kamala is oh, she's giving everybody hope and people feel fuzzy. Hold on, wait a minute. How does a woman who never ran better than third, whose campaign ran out of money before South Carolina, making everybody feel fuzzy? Don't make a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me that you feel fuzzy. It ain't a we that feel fuzzy, you feel fuzzy. See, because new Yahoo News YouGov poll finds no convention bounce for Biden, but he still leads Trump by 11. Well, that ain't hard. That's a low bar. I thought, but if Kamala got people excited, you supposed to get a bounce. And if you got people excited, you didn't come out of the convention getting no bounce, huh? No bounce? No. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? There are people manufacturing excitement, and they are the people who go around looking very ridiculous in these little mimicry, back to that word again, mimicry of whiteness. This mimicry of what, if you want to read more about this, go read E. Franklin Frazier. You just wanted to mimic whiteness, this kind of reactionary goofiness. Y'all all look goofy. What is this get up? It's ridiculous. All kinds of goofiness. Back to Otis Graham. He knows of whom he speaks. He made a name in 1999 publishing Our Kind of People, a sympathetic insider account of the habits, clubs, and lifestyles of America's wealthiest black families. Early on, the book, now in its 37th printing, proved controversial. Some whites were ignorant of how black millionaires had thrived, A few of them since the 1870s. People often don't think of blacks having different socioeconomic classes because we don't. We have aberrations. Goofball. Some fumed at being publicly named as part of the black aristocracy. These people have, see how they've named themselves aristocracy. These are some goofy people. Others were furious for being left out. Some poor black readers in turn raged at the wealthy. Let me tell you, this is the height of ridiculousness. But let's just continue. Even the economist knows this is stupid. Let me tell you how they know this man is stupid and everything he's saying is stupid. They put this line in here that said, Negro, you ain't rich, you dodo bird. On average, black Americans remain significantly less well off than whites, including among the richest. Among the top 10% of black earners, for example, the median family has accumulated assets worth $343,106, said a Brookings Institute report in February. For the equivalent of the top 10% of white families, it was more than 5 times higher. By one Federal Reserve measure, around 2% of black families have assets worth more than $1 million. Over 15% of white families do. What he told this man was that you don't know what you're talking about. You're not rich like white people are rich. You're not wealthy like white people are wealthy. And there are only a few of you. Some people don't even understand it. You got made a fool of in The Economist. You got made into a joke. You thought you were doing something. Let me interview and talk to you about, we do have the monies. And you don't, people didn't know we had the money. Did you know we had the monies? We got the monies. You don't. He got mocked because they said, you really don't. Not compared to white wealth, white wealth compared to, black wealth compared to white wealth. Really ain't wealth. It's just wealth when you compare it to black people who have less than $1. That's kind of dodo birdish for you to say. It is what it is. He didn't understand what he was saying. And he really thinks he's something. Raising these little raceless children. So let me just go. Mr. Graham recounts being stopped and hounded by a plainclothes policeman near his home while collecting his daughter from school. Even though he was the chairman of his county police board. He describes how rich black families on moving into mostly white neighborhoods learn to visit the local police station to hand out photos of their families in an effort to stave off trouble. We have to be proactive. Oh, you want to talk about some sniveling people. Goodness, you a sniveler. Yet, even if the African-American elite is not huge, it's influential as a planned televised serialization of Mr. Graham's book will show. Invitations to clubs, debutante balls. It's not influential. It's not influential in white America. It's influential among each other. And see, what you see, the reason why you can't lean on this group or trust this group is trying to buffer itself. We out here trying to fight police and say police is shooting out our people and doing all kind of stuff, and y'all can't do that. That's wrong, and you can't do it. We're people too, and this is murder. That's what we're out here saying. He's over there. Y'all don't know they're over there running to the police station. Hey, what that says is that, listen, you might pull over some Negroes, but don't pull over us Negroes because we live here. We bought houses here. These are runners. And see, the thing is, you can't, runners are not fighters. They say fight or flight. That's something we all have in us. But when you're talking about justice, there should be a predisposition. There should be a predisposition to fight for what is just. What he just told you, I'm a runner, right? I just go and tell the police. I don't tell the police to not discriminate. I tell the police that these is my children and my wife, and I tell you not to bother me. You can't depend on people who are that selfish. You can't depend on people who don't seek out collective uplift and what is best for the group. Those people can't be depended upon when times of trouble happen. So you certainly can't depend upon them in politics. And understand that is the lens through which we get our politics. You don't have people on the TV right now who are feeding all this stuff, or at these newspapers who are feeding all this stuff, who are ordinary regular. You have people, even the people who, hell, Roland Martin said his spleen bust on him and he didn't have no insurance and his car got repossessed. But child, he still identifies as a Boule. He been on TV and you can't tell him nothing about himself. That's how he identifies. He wants to be a part of that group. So either you have people who are already in that group, or people who think they're that group, or people who are identified as that group. Those people are not for collective uplifting. Those are the ones who will tell you everybody's real excited about Kamala. Ain't nobody excited about Kamala. If somebody was excited about Kamala, she'd have made it to South Carolina and been given a deal to drop out like the rest of them were. Now maybe she got a backhand deal in terms of this VP thing, but we all know she had already run out of money and ran that campaign straight into the ground. It just is what it is. So let's just sometimes you just be curious about what is going on. Let's just go back to the Otis Graham, whatever his name is. Let's talk a little bit, because if you say, well, Yvette, you're being too hard on the Boule, that's not what they are, and they got wealthy, and that's just what happens. I'm not opposed to doing that. You can't throw your people away though once you get that. So it says, I taught my black kids that their elite upbringing would protect them from discrimination. I was wrong. Well, see, the first thing is, you never should have taught your kids that they would be somehow insulated and buffered out of anything. You taught them to be raceless. And in doing so, you taught them to be weak. A lot of little weaklings wandering around here who can't help. So let's just go into this just a bit, because I just want to let you know that I'm not making this up. That's from 2014, I think this article was. When it comes to politics, I have a long memory. It says, my wife and I, both African Americans, constitute one of those type A couples with Ivy League undergraduate and graduate degrees. For many years believes that if we worked hard and maintained great jobs, we could insulate our children from blatant manifestations of bigotry, and that we experienced as children in the 1960s and 70s. Understand what you just see. It don't say nowhere that we want to help all the little children. It don't say nowhere that we want to dedicate ourselves. We want to have good jobs and have a good life, but we were also dedicated to collective uplift. What you see there is somebody who was trying to extricate themselves from the group. We don't want to experience this. We're black, we're Negro, but we don't want to experience this. So we're going to do this to extricate ourselves from this group. We don't want to be associated with this. We want no problem with the police. And we believe that we can buy tickets out of blackness. We believe that our Ivy League degrees are our escape hatch. And you ran right into some raggedy racism. But the fact that I have no sympathy for you whatsoever, because if you were able to do what you tried to do, you still at Kamala's thing talking about she's the next Obama. And Obama didn't do nothing for us. So I have no sympathy for you. But we all understand that you were escape hatching out of blackness, being less black and trying to raise little raceless children. So let me go to the next thing really quick, because I have to move on to one last thing before we go to any kind of thing, any kind of break. Make sure I stay on my timeline. He says, we divided our lives between a house in the liberal New York suburb and an apartment on Park Avenue. Sent our 3 kids to a diverse New York City private school. Outfitted them with the accoutrements of success. Oh, he said accoutrements of success. Preppy clothes, perfect diction, and that air of quiet graciousness. We convinced ourselves that economic privilege we bestowed on them could buffer these adolescents against what so many black and Latino children face. I hate that everybody or whatever face while living in mostly white settings, being profiled by neighbors, followed in stores, and stopped by police simply because their race makes them suspect. Accoutrements. We tried. But then this happened. Then this happened to the child, and he didn't know what to do because you raised him. What are you going to do? You his daddy? It was a Tuesday afternoon when my 15-year-old son called me from his academic summer program at a leafy New England boarding school and told me that as he was walking across campus, a gray Acura with a broken rear tail light pulled up beside him. Two men leaned out of the car and glared at him. "Are you the only N-word at Mellon Academy?" one shouted. Certain that he had not heard them correctly, my son moved closer to the curb and asked politely, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you." Now, first of all, what kind of child you raised? They calling your child an N-word and he moving close to the curb? No. I don't even know. But he had heard them correctly. And this time, the man spoke more clearly. "Only N-word. Sounds like bigger," he added with emphasis. My son froze. He dropped his backpack in alarm, because you his daddy, and stepped back from the idling car. The men honked the horn loudly and drove off, their laughter echoing behind him. By the time he recounted his experience a few minutes later, my son was back in his dorm room, ensconced in the third floor of a red big brick fortress. He tried to grasp the meaning of the story as he told it. Why the men chose to stop him. Why they did it in broad daylight. Why they were so calm and deliberate. Why would they do that to me? To me! You raised this raceless, clueless child. He whispered breathlessly into the phone. "Dad, they don't know me. And they weren't acting drunk. It's just 3:30 in the afternoon. They could see me and I could see them." Despite his reluctance, I insisted that he report the incident to the school. His chief concern was not wanting the white students and administrators to think of him as being special, different, or racial. That was his word. If other kids around here found out that I was called a N-word and that I complained about it, my son pleaded, then they will call me racial and will be thinking about will be thinking about race every time they see me. I can't have that. For the next 4 weeks of the summer program, my son remained leery of cars that slowed in his proximity. He's still leery today. He avoided sidewalks, choosing instead to walk on campus lawns, and he worried continually about being perceived as racially odd. Well. Now listen, family, I want to tell you something. Don't raise your child like that. See, because he looks like us. When you see a man on TV that looks like that, you don't know if that's his daddy. If that's how he was raised, not to be racial. If you're raised not to be racial I don't want the white kids to be upset or mad at me and think I'm racial. If the whole way that you're included in white society or white America is by not being racial, how then do you turn around and be part of collective uplift for us? The answer is that you can't. And that's why we can't be led by this kind of Boule babble. It makes no sense for us politically. These people don't make sense. They only make sense in terms of how much they are willing to do and give up of themselves to extricate themselves away from the rest of us. I support you if you do something good. If you decide you want to file a suit or do something, I am with you. If I see you doing something for collective uplift, there are always people who are not Otis Graham here. But I'm just saying, be wary. We have to be a self-led group. We have to be a group that's led from the grassroots up and influence all the way up. Influence don't flow down. So be very reluctant to use the people that you see on TV. I understand people are getting scared and these people are saying, "Oh my God, why you vote Democrat down bad?" And they're talking about good You got to understand who these people are who are influencing us and where they come from. And you also have to understand what I said last time. We don't owe nobody nothing. Because listen, we talked the last time, and I think Antonio has talked about it as well. We talked about how the white voters gave us Trump. And they don't even get held accountable for it. What we don't talk about often, though, is why they did that. So there was a great tweet, today. And we don't talk enough about why they gave us Trump. We understand that, like, everybody wants us to save them from Trump. And you got to vote this way, black people, because you got to save us from Trump. You got to get Trump out of here. Like, we put him in there. We didn't do that. But let's dig a little bit deeper and talk about how we got Trump, right? Not just the voters, but the difference in terms of the motivating factors of the people who voted for Trump. So look at this tweet really quick. I keep thinking about this. Poll after poll shows Biden ahead overall, but voters trust Trump more on the economy. We saw a similar trend in 2016. Clinton would poll higher, but not on the economy. Now here it is. And I'm going to bring up the full one in just 1 second. Hold on for me. So you see in all of these polls, you see Trump still leading on the economy. Now understand something. When we talk about the economy, and understand this also happened, we see when we talk about race, we understand black men and women to different proportions. We blew all the way back to Obama and Romney. We voted for Clinton. We voted for Obama. We blew. But we don't, it's not our responsibility to save you. We are not your superhero or your mule, right? But let's understand something. Let's go back to this economy real quick. So I want you to understand something. I want you to replace economy. They said the economy. Replace the word economy with wealth, or replace the word economy with money. What you are seeing is that white people are voting money. White people are voting wealth. They don't care what happens to you or me or Deputy Dog or Smokey the Bear, as long as their wealth or their money or how they make a living for lower class and wealth for the middle, upper, whatever. As long as that is not bothered, you have to ask yourself, why? Why are we voting values that are not even our own values, when they are voting money? And nobody holds them accountable for saying, we are going to vote money. They don't get held accountable at all. Everybody just turns around to us and say, you got to save us. No. Go to those people that every time it's time to vote, no matter what they say, they end up voting money. When Bill Clinton said it's the economy, stupid, he was saying it's the money, it's the wealth, stupid. They get to vote money all the time. We're supposed to vote values and martyr ourselves every time for values that we don't even believe in. Like, we can't even vote our own values. You're not allowed to have that conversation. You're not allowed to say it's ADOS. Well, what do we want to vote for? Well, what do we believe in? You're not allowed to have that conversation. We can't say, well, we want reparations, and we have a transformative black agenda, but reparations is the heartbeat of that overall black agenda, and let's have an immigration conversation. We can't have that conversation. We gotta vote the values that the Democrats give us. And we gotta walk around saying, you just gotta get Trump out of there. We gotta do whatever we can. Now we drowning, but we gotta say, we gotta do whatever we can to get Trump out of there. Ain't nobody else gotta say that though. Everybody else can just go on their merry little way and vote for money. And then they can vote for money. Let's say you don't vote for Trump. As a white person, you don't vote for Trump. You vote for Biden, or you voted for Clinton. Well, then it's kind of like, are you gonna get the money back from your racist Republican granddaddy who voted for Trump? Because what does it matter if you didn't have the money, he had the money. Because he had the money because he came from a different period. You're a millennial or whatever, but you're going to get his racist money. What does it even matter what you did if you still going to take the racist money? He voted for Trump and maintained his tax cuts to pass down to you. So what does it even matter what you individually did on that level? It's levels to this thing. We're not even talking about all the levels. We're not even having that conversation. It's a lot of levels that we even missing out on. Don't make no sense. It don't make no sense what we doing. And so, but you can't vote Democratic down ballot. You know how to do. You know the white people, how they voted for Trump. And it's not just white people. Look at the difference between our numbers and the Latino numbers. Y'all ain't talking to the Latinos like that. Y'all running around chasing the Latino vote like y'all crazy. We gonna give you DACA and we gonna do something about, and we gonna do something about the border. And we gonna do something about all of this. Is gonna be family whatever. We gonna do all this stuff. Wait a minute. What about the group that, but you're not, wait a minute, but you're not going to get a group that always shows up for you in high numbers. You're not going to give us nothing. And you know why? You know why we don't get nothing? It's because we are way too reactionary as opposed to intentional. Somebody tells us there's a fire and we like to run down the street with the water hose. It ain't even your house. And your house is burning down. How do you get the water hose and run to somebody else's house that just got caught on fire and yours burning to the ground? You don't bring that water hose back here. It don't make no sense. Values other people tell us we should have. This is a problem. Our reactionary politics. We listen to this Boule group, and then because everything is interpreted through them, and then we have this kind of idea that we can't have our own politics. We're not even allowed to think for ourselves. We can't even think for ourselves and say, well, this is what we want. We have to kind of adhere to whatever the white gaze tells us we should do. Well, the white gaze is kind of putting the ookie bookie on us and telling us, well, we got to do this and we have to. The white gaze don't do it to nobody else. You should stare right back at the white gaze. And what? What you gonna do? Ain't too much you can do to me that you ain't already done. And what? Yes, it can get worse, but you're not gonna make it get better. So it's gonna get worse anyway if we don't stand up for ourselves. We can't keep doing this stuff where we only march. And it's up to you. It's not up to me. You can still have a chance to give me an agenda that matters, an agenda that works, something that works for me, something that I asked for. You don't get to tell me what I want. I'm grown. You know, that's what you do. That's what you do with children. A child will come and be like, "What you want for dinner?" And the child will tell you a Snickers bar, and you be like, "No, we having chicken and green beans and potatoes. We're not having no Snickers bar for dinner. That's not good." You'll tell the child that. We get treated like children. So we tell you everything we want. And we say this one thing has to be the heartbeat though. Because we have to close the racial wealth gap. So reparations has to be the heartbeat. It's due 400 years to make a whole case. And you skip right over it and act like it didn't happen. And you say, well, I support a study. Maybe. No, you say, I'm not opposed to it. You have your staff say, I'm not opposed to it. And we're supposed to be enthusiastic about that. No. We should be out of, and I'm going to say this before I go to break. It's time to get out of this mindset of allowing others to tell us what we should have or who we should be. Right? We have to be, if nothing else, we have to be a self-led group. We are led by the priorities that we determine as our priorities. And we are not coerced or pressured into doing something different, especially in ways that other people are never pressured. See, if enough of us do what we're doing in terms of Democratic down ballot, then the Democrats start chasing us and saying, okay, we got to come to your table. What can we do? That's why they chase the Latinos, because the Latinos be just running around doing all kind of stuff. They vote here, vote there. And I can't vote Republican in good conscience, and I'm not. It's Trump of all. I'm not doing that. So Democratic down ballot is all we can do because I'm not supporting Trump. Not no way, not here, not now. Did you just see the Republican convention? He had them two, I think he had them two wild alley cat people who had the guns when the people was protesting. Wild alley cats. Just feral people. I can't support nothing like that. It's never gonna happen. But I can do Democratic down ballot. And there's no one in their right mind who can tell me that I shouldn't. Not only do I not have that right, but that I shouldn't do it, given how everybody has not kept their promises to us. But in the modern era, we have been consistently giving our votes to Democrats, consistently placing them in power. And once they get in power, they ignore us in terms of national federal leadership, and even on some level state. What I'm saying is that we don't owe anybody anything. We owe ourselves. And it's time to stop looking into that white gaze and letting everybody else determine who we are and what we get and how we should feel, and look into ourselves, have a group effort and a group conversation about what we should have, outside of the white gaze. And when you look at that, it's very clear what we need to do. And it's very clear that reparations and a transformative black agenda is the heartbeat of everything we need in terms of our politics. So, fam, give me a couple of minutes as usual to set up the phones. I will be right back and we will have the conversation. We are back, fam. So we're gonna go straight into the calls. I am going to go to 917. 917, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Jabbar from ADOS NYC. So long story short, I was able to look through my family tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on mother's side, like her mother, grandmother was a maid. She used to be a maid. My mom, when she was like a little girl, she used to clean like office buildings.
Okay.
Basically clean after like white folks, like late night. Now on my father's side, my father's paternal side, her one, like I saw it through one of the slave narratives, and long story short, one of my like uncles, old cousins, great cousins, was describing his grandmother having a nurse after the Confederate Confederate who got injured, who owned the plantation. So I'm 28. In addition to all those people who have to take care of, who have to clean up after white folks or nurse them, I used to be a janitor,
okay.
and I had to basically clean like the Brooklyn Nets like facility after like the games or whatnot. So here I am, generations of having to clean up after white folks, which I'm still another 8 hours are still being asked to clean up the white folks with this election by trying to elect Joe Biden.
And I'll say, but one more thing about that, fam. Let me just say this too. Careers are passed down, right? So whereas white people were able to pass down, like you were whatever they did, right? Whether it was teaching or a professor or literature or whether it was a railroad magnate, whatever that career was, you were able to pass it down. The only careers that our people were able to pass down, or disproportionately, I would say, our people, especially in the South, were domestics, and they were farm hands in terms of sharecroppers. So like when you look at that, it's kind of pertinent when you think about careers being passed down. How many of us are still cleaning up? We're still cleaning up because careers are passed down, and we weren't allowed to have like what our intellect or what our hard work would get us. We were only allowed to have what a racist white America would allow us to have that would benefit them. And we're still cleaning up like we're the maids of the party. Well, the white people done made a mistake. They done went too far this time. They done got Trump out there. Go clean it up, Negroes. Get out there. What you mean you don't want to get out there? What you mean? This is horrible for America. What? No, you did this. Clean up your own mess. Why don't you clean up your own mess? You never learned how to clean, did you? Well, learn now.
Yeah, pretty much. And then another thing you brought up, sharecropping. Like my mom, she's like 58, and she grew up in New York, but she used to pick cotton too. So,
Yeah.
and my grandfather, he was a sharecropper, and so like you pretty much on the money. I'll just hang up and that's it.
Well, thank you, fam. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you calling in. And let me just say this: one other thing is that we weren't even really allowed to pass down the farming, right? Because what happened was they shut us out with the loans that weren't given to black farmers, and they stole the land. So even the thing that we were good at, because if they had just let us be passed down farming, then you would have had like a generation and generation and generations of ADOS farmers who could, because you saw like before we were plundered, we were accruing land and stuff like that. You would have had us as agriculture producers. You don't even have that because the thing that they could have, because that didn't benefit them. It doesn't benefit white America for us to produce and become millionaire agribusiness companies. That doesn't benefit. That's competition. No. You can pick for us. And so even in terms of the party dynamics, we're put in a position where if you can't do something for us, then we have a problem for you. You are the mule. You are still the mule. You might not think you're the mule as ADOS, but we still use you at the mule. And at a certain point, you got to start saying, I'm not going to be the mule. And it doesn't do any good to say, I'm not going to be the mule. I'm not doing this no more. And then when somebody put the little thing around your neck, you say, well, all right, one more time. Anyway, let me go to my next caller. I am going now to 323. 323, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette. This is AOS North. Instead, I'm going to take you off speaker. Sorry about that.
No problem.
How are you? How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too good. I have to have surgery on my sight. But anyway.
Oh, goodness gracious. We wish you the best of luck and a speedy recovery.
Well, I appreciate that. I just want to kind of speak to this idiot. Well, let me be nice. This person, speaking about him having apartments on the Upper East Side and all these other things like that. Did you happen to say that he's actually from New York or no?
I didn't see where he was from. I just saw that's where he was and had the apartment. I mean, the Park Avenue and the thing. But I don't know where he's from or not.
Okay. So, long story short, we hate to go there with that, but long story short, my family, my mother grew up in, Lower East Side, that's, lower east side of Manhattan.
Okay.
In those areas, it's like nothing but projects. And then you have a bunch of high-rises kind of in the middle of a bunch of projects. The two main projects that are down there are Lillian Wall and Baruch. Now, understand that my mother's parents, they also grew up in those projects.
Mm.
Okay? Her father was in Baruch Project and her mother was in Lillian Wall.
Okay.
Now, I find it hilarious that this person can sit up here and you can talk about Fifth Avenue. You understand what I'm saying? Meanwhile, my mother is like an original ADOS from the Lower East Side. And that's something, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, you don't really hear too many ADOS from the Lower East Side, although we were down there. And you get this person, for whatever reason, he's just confused, he doesn't get it. Well, guess what? You didn't have to go up in the projects. That's clear by the stuff that you're saying. But I need him to understand that ADOS, when we are in New York and we're from there, we get designated to the project. That's where we are. Mm-hmm. And so far as us being there now, fast forward to current time, when you see a lot of Caribbeans, Africans, or whatever the case may be, if you go into those projects, I don't care if you're in Harlem, I don't care if you're in Brooklyn, I don't care if you're in Lower East Side, that's where you're going to find ADOS at. So he can take his opinion and his well speak or whatever, and he can shove it. But anyway, Love you, Yvette.
Love you
And that's
back.
my take on that. Thank
All
you.
right, appreciate you, fam. She said he can shove it. He say she's our Barack. She's our Barack. You know, she's our Barack. Some wild stuff people say. Whoo, she's our Barack. Barack didn't do. That's gonna show you how out of touch. She's our Barack. Talking about Kamala. I'm going right now to 718. 718. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi,
Hey.
I'm calling from Brooklyn, Fort Wayne, Brooklyn. I'm calling myself the Bee, and the algorithm popped me onto you last week, and there are a lot of people that are very we've done some serious shit. We run some serious things like tech floors. Of JP Morgan before it was merged with Chase, and what happened with that was the beginning of what we see now, that takeover, because we were all on Wall Street. I got a job getting new threads, and I think Whoopi for that. And there's some of us that are down under. I guess the algorithms are connecting us. But I like what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. Some of you, I'm listening to a lot of you, Professor Truth or whatever his name is. He's so fucking mean. So those of us with the knowledge that can pass it on, that we deal with these Indians. I had a professor. I had a Jewish woman introduce me to a professor, Indian professor. That's taken over a department at the HBCU, and I could see that he hated me, but I thank you guys for introducing me to the Bohemian or whatever that caste system is, or whatever. I like that, because every time I meet one, now I get it, because when they come upon us that are, we're into Octavia Butler and, James Baldwin, and we read Malcolm X every day, and we don't look at TV at all, and we know everything that's going on, and we connect the dots when we go outside. And they've been trying to put, they might be poisoning us and killing us, because I knew 2 journalists that died, and it's just so deep. And what you guys are doing, it's time for it to be done. Mm-hmm. And as far as your farming or whatever you were talking about, that's in you, because if you get a plot of land, I'm in Brooklyn, I got a plot, you can just grow your first crop and see what happens, and talk to that earth. Because your ancestors are with you, and God is with you, whatever you believe. But keep doing what you're doing. Stop hating on each other, and connect the dots, and connect the dots with Boyce Watkins. And I'm hanging up. And peace out to you, and good luck. And I wanted to connect with you because some people want to pay. We have to pay to get notices that you're going to be on live, because what we're finding out is when your stuff is halfway through, that's when we can connect. But other than that, we can't connect. Thank you, fam.
Well, just check the Twitter. If it doesn't, I tweet it. I kind of lost me at the people you mentioned. Yeah, he mean. I don't know why people watch him. He mean. And it's not hating on somebody to realize that they're grifting. Part of what has to be done is that you have to purge the whole group of grifters, because grifters will take something and then try to sell it back to you and everybody else. They'll take something you created and try to sell it back to you and the whole community. And it's just no, we don't. That's not what we were trying to do. No. I think if we put this together as a package and we sell it, then we can double our whatever. Ain't nobody trying to do that. That's not what we're trying to do. So anyway, fam, I'm coming to my next caller. I'm going now to 703. Hold on. Oh, 703. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? I see some same callers. I'm trying to get some new callers in here. What's going on, caller? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, 703. What's going on?
Oh, hi.
Hi. What's going on?
Yvette, I have an issue with the voting down ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going in and we're voting blue down ballot, but we're still voting for people who don't care about us or our needs. I was watching this program, and it talked about particularly in black areas where people will get in, Democrats will get in and pose and give all the nice pleasantries. But once they actually get into the House of Representatives, they're in there voting for everything else that their donors contribute, like for more war or more oil or whatever. They're doing everything except benefiting the ADOS and the community that put them into the House of Representatives in the first place. So I have a problem with voting Democrat down ballot, because we might be still voting for our own execution. What do you think about that?
Well, the problem is you only mentioned, the first problem is that you only mentioned the federal level, right? And if you're voting, when we talk about down ballot, you're talking about your local legislature. You're talking about your local judge. You're talking about, you're talking about ballot initiatives. There are a lot of initiatives, some to raise taxes, lower taxes, some to decriminalize marijuana or not, some to, remember there was the ballot initiative in Florida of whether or not ex inmates could be able to vote, right? And that's still a fight that's going on because of the Supreme Court. So I think what you have to understand, and you have to engage your own local political system, is understand that there's a lot on the ballot other than people in Congress. And there's a lot on the ballot other than actually individuals. There's a lot on the ballot on like how to increase taxes and whether or not how they're going to redistribute money. Are we going to use this money from this kind of tax for environmentalism? Are we going to use it for this? So a lot of times it's about the distribution of money that they collect from you. So you have to show up and vote, because I will say this: there are things to vote for as well as there are things to vote against. There's always going to be something to vote against. I don't even think whether you might be voting against like a tax cut because they're going to cut it and they're going to cut stuff from what your community needs and from the budget. So there's always, I've never voted and said there was nothing on there for me to vote for. I've never shown up to a vote and said there's nothing on here that I should have a voice in. There's always at least one thing. And even if it's only one thing, you got to show up for that one thing. It is what it is.
So that's why that was the when you say like vote down, a vote blue down ballot. If we're just looking at just the D, then we're kind of going in lazily, not really doing our research and paying attention.
But I just explained to you it's bigger than the D. Yes, it's Democratic down ballot because most of the people you're going to be voting for, most of the people you vote for anywhere are Democrats. Let's just be honest. Like, when's the last time you voted for a Republican judge? Let's just be honest about that. When's the last time you voted for a Republican, depending on how y'all do it in your city, prosecutor? Let's just be honest about that. Like, most of the time what you vote for is in between the Democrats. So you have a primary and you have 3 or 4 Democrats running against each other for sheriff. It was a mess of a race here in Georgia. It was a stupid stuff. But anyway, I mean, what you have to do most of the time is you're deciding initially between these Democrats who are running against each other. You're deciding which of these Democrats is going to run. Most of us even live in, depending on where you live within a red state. So people say we live in a red state. Absolutely. But yes, so in terms of a lot of places in Congress and stuff like that. But on the local level, when we live in black communities, our little local people are mostly Democrats. And you have to show up to decide which one of these people is going to represent you, because depending on where you live, 8 times out of 10, or maybe even 9 times out of 10, that person who is going to represent you is going to be a Democrat. And it's going to be a bunch of Democrats running for that position. And you have to show up to decide which of those people is going to represent you locally. And you have to show up to decide which of those things which of those ballot initiatives that you need to vote pro or against. I will never be in favor of disengaging from the political system, because that's one of the ways they use to purge us from the polls. They'll say, well, you didn't show up to vote. So if you haven't shown up to vote for the last election, the last 2 elections, you get purged from the polls. Well, then they start talking about all kinds of other stuff, right? And then you got to make sure that you show up for other stuff, like you got to show up for jury duty. It's all sorts of stuff that kind of intertwines. So for me, show up. Show up. There's something on there. Research the ballot beforehand. You will find something or some people to vote for, especially if you are in a place that's ran by Democrats anyway. If you're in a place that's ran locally by Democrats anyway, then what that means is that a Democrat's going to end up running your city or local municipality, and you should show up and decide which Democrat that is, regardless. That's locally.
Mm-hmm. So we have to get involved in research, not just vote down, but actually
you should always research. You should never just show up at a poll and not know who that is or what they stand for. Now, you may not even be happy with what you research. I've had that several times. You research and you've heard of these people and you've seen stuff you like and don't like, and you dig deep and you realize you don't like either of them. I'm still going to support. I'm still going to show up and say, well, this one's better than this one, or this one is horrible. I can never do nothing with this one. I'm always still going to show up. I'm going to show up. I'm never going to disengage from the entire political system. There's nothing to be gained with a total disengagement.
Now I'm asking, I'm a single mother, single divorced mother. I'm 57 now, so my children are also adults, 35 and 37. So, and I've been an RN for a number of years, and now I'm retired. So I've been just voting blue just because it's easy to get it done. But now, with this attention on politics, and we're all kind of sequestered in, I feel like I really need to know actually what I'm doing when I go to the polls. And so hopefully I'm not the only one that's going to get something out of this information. So
okay, thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. And I think I think it's always best to start doing your research early, because life is busy and life gets busy. And a lot of these local people, they don't have money to put stuff on TV, and they don't have money for ads. You kind of have to dig into who they are. And it's good too. Like, you can read as much as you can about them, but it's always good when they have those little town halls. Ooh, they make a mess of them town halls. These little local yokels. Ooh, quick. Oh, yeah, that ain't gonna work. Anyway, fam, let me go to the next caller. I am going to 716. 716. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Can
you hear me?
I can hear you, fam. What's going on? Quick in my neck.
I'm a first time caller. I've been watching you since Army. I seen you with Voice Walkers. I just want to say something that happened when I was first watching you. What they were doing here in Buffalo, what they did to me when I was sharing your videos, they sent the police to my house and said that I was because I was sharing your videos, that I had made a phone call saying I was abusing my kids. They were taking people out their house and putting them in a state hospital here in Buffalo. They were actually not allowing us to share videos here. So I was scared to share the videos. But now I've been more active still. I've been giving out flyers, giving out your name, giving out information, got more people involved in Buffalo with watching your videos. But they're scared to press the button to, how you be a subscriber. They're scared. And then when the man got knocked down downtown, the abuse that go on here in Buffalo is crazy. But I was thinking about this. This is the question I have to ask. It's about, like, if we vote down ballot and we don't vote for Kamala and Biden and all these, will Trump be able to put in all these federal judges and put us in a bad situation? That's why you know what I mean? It seems like they trying to force us to do that, because these judges are gonna, just railroad us.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Well, see, the thing is, you know what the thing is about that, right? I would think that about this Supreme Court, right? This is a conservative Supreme Court, right?
Right.
And so this is a conservative Supreme Court. And you would think that, okay, like, they're going to be awful to, like, not just ADOS, but to everybody, to liberals in general. Right. What you saw, though, is that they were only awful to us. They were very nice. They were very nice to the LGBT community in terms of their rulings. They were very nice to immigrants in terms of their ruling. And they're a conservative. This is just a majority conservative court. So what you find is that even these conservative courts are willing to do good things to everybody but us anyway. You right. Sit in this position to where, like, it's like America hates us. It's not a matter of, yes, the conservatives might do it worse, but, like, they're hooking up other liberal contingency groups. They're hooking up other groups, but they're not hooking up us. right? So what you see, what you begin to understand is, and even if they did something small for us in terms of their ruling, it wouldn't be enough. See, we shouldn't even be in this position, and everybody tells us, well, it'll be better if we have a liberal Supreme Court. Well, that might be true, but the problem is it wouldn't be enough to like give us what we need to be made whole. So a liberal Supreme Court or a better Supreme Court would be better, but we need to be made whole, and it's this sort of small incrementalism still wouldn't be enough.
Right.
So we're almost at this point. So what we really are is at this point where we have to take this kind of drastic action, right? Because the stuff that they have on offer is like a crumb. When you're starving and you need real calories, like if you're starving and what you need right now to make up is 3,000 calories, and somebody is offering you like a crumb, it's not going to give the calories you need for your organs to function. And that's kind of where we are.
Oh, yeah.
So I would say that, yeah, better is better, but that's not enough. And then you find out that you can really get good stuff from conservative Supreme Courts, which is what's happening right now, but it's just not happening for us. So something more drastic has to happen.
Yeah. But if we win, okay, what if we do get the Senate and the House, but and Trump is still in there? How, I mean, with him selecting these judges, won't that affect us worse since we've always been the victim, of, the jail system?
I think so. I think so. But the question, the question becomes, Obama appointed judges, and we failed, like we lost wealth during that period. See, the thing that's going to close the racial wealth gap and make us whole is not judges. We need judges. I'm not saying we don't, but we need so much more than judges. We can't operate like, okay, we're going to get judges. Yes, we need that, and yes, that would be great. But we need so much more than that right now. It's almost like a judge is like, we have a gunshot wound, and a judge is like somebody has some wrap that's gonna stop the bleeding for a while. But if you've been shot a couple times, you need some surgery, and the agenda and reparations is the surgery, and they've been putting that thing on us to kind of hold the blood in so long enough. The only reason they really want to hold the blood in so we can show up to the polls and vote for them. And what we see is that that's not enough. That's not enough for us to be made whole. That's enough for us. I don't even think that's enough for us to exist going forward. Go ahead, Colin. I'm sorry.
Can I say one more? One last thing.
One last thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, one last thing and quick. I get exactly what you're saying, but because we are I agree with you. We should be a protected group. It's 40 million of us. It's not that many of us, and we're American. We're more American, I believe. Just as I know the Indians were here. I'm half Cherokee and I'm ADOS. Getting rid of us is what they want to do and replace us with immigrants and other groups. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if he get all these judges in here, the thing is to go after our group like crazy and just lock us up in the system and you know what I mean? And kill us and do the things that they doing to us to, you know what I'm saying?
They doing that anyway.
You kind of understand?
They doing that anyway.
Yeah.
They're doing that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate you calling in. No, I appreciate it. Let me say what I think she was saying in the early part of the call when she said people did what they did to her for sharing our videos. I don't know if you all remember, but you remember who we were fighting. It's two people whose name begins with T, right? So allegedly. So what happened, what she was trying to say that she didn't properly articulate, is that she was doxxed. I don't know if you all know how many of us were doxxed. How many ADOS people who were sharing our stuff, and people go into your Facebook and they would say like, this person doesn't take care of their kid, and they smoking weed with their kid, and it was a way, or they do drugs, they do cocaine, they do crack with their kid, and so they would come in and try to take the kid or whatever and test the person for drugs. Like a lot of, there are people who were sharing my videos who were doxxed as a way of intimidation. So like if you share Yvette stuff, we might come for you, right? You know, I was doxxed. I found my stuff somewhere. Like somebody put it all out there, my address. I had family members who were doxxed. I know people who are ADOS who were also doxxed. There was a whole goon squad of people who were doxing ADOS people who were sharing my videos and sharing my data and say, no, we, shared Antonio stuff and say, no, we support ADOS. Who, because of that, they called Child Protective Services on, right? And made their lives a living hell. And it happened to more than one person. And that's what she was trying to say. She just couldn't articulate it. And I was confused too at first. But that's what she was saying. She was saying that she was doxxed. And so a lot of people, that was just a way to intimidate us. And those were some horrible, terrible thugs who were kind of, I believe, allegedly coordinating together with some people that were also hired online to do that. And, you're going to get what you deserve. So, anyway, let me go to the next call, fam. Let me go to the next call. I am going now to 908. 908, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Good evening. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am well. My name is Derek Holmes. I just wanted to call and say, first of all, thank you very much for all that you do, to you and Tone. I was looking around for a long time, like, it's so hard to find people with like minds. So it was finally great to just run into you guys and see that people were thinking on the same wavelength. I just want to say some things really quickly. First, I just want all of our people to recognize that we are unique people with a unique history and a unique identity, and I'm happy that we are embracing it. I live down here in Washington, D.C., and, you see people from all of the other giving their flags, and they are protesting outside the State Department to ask the United States to appeal for justice for them. And it's just strange that people are coming here and telling us that we shouldn't appeal for justice from our own government and from our own country. That is just very strange when you watch them do it every day. Big protests outside the State Department. And it's also strange here that on Embassy Row and in some of the places, you'll see that the Boule and some of the Gavon 9 have their national headquarters down here. And very nice buildings, but you're like, exactly what work are they doing for us? Because nobody's down here fighting for us, and they have these nice buildings near the halls of power, and yet you don't see much happening for our people. So you know that something must be wrong. And then you see people like Roland come and jump on television, and then other people who are honorary members like D.L. Hewley, who's an honorary Omega Sci-Fi, and Ava Dunvernay, who they made an honorary AKA, hop on television and just be very, very, very disrespectful to our people. And I don't know, it should let us know that there's really something going on and there's something up. And in regards to the title of this video tonight, I'm just going to wrap up, and the Boule, Babble, and Mimicry. In the movie Us, I thought it was a brilliant movie, low-key, because in the film, he kind of touches on the fact that elite black folks are just cheap imitations of elite white people. And the fact that the black family tried to they vacationed in the same place as the white family. They had a house, but their house wasn't as nice as the white family. Their car wasn't as nice as the white family. And the father even went to try to buy a boat to imitate the white family, but their boat wasn't as nice as the white families either. So that's an example of us thinking that we've made it and trying to be elite, but being cheap imitations of the elite white people that we're trying to follow. And we are tethered to them and living in the upside down world, underground, low key, even though we think we're elite. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good
Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. Yeah, you don't have this. And it's kind of like, thank you for, it's kind of like what they even said in the article. Like you said, well, we have wealth and white people don't know that a lot of white people didn't know that we got what we got. And then the Economist article was like, y'all really don't got what you think you got. Like, just make a mess. Anyway, let me go to the next caller. I am going now to 857. 857. 857, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Boston, Mass.
Turn your background down for me.
My name's Val. I'm calling from 617 Boston, Mass.
Okay. What's going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the fact that you're talking about the white gays, and
Okay.
I know that's a big issue where I'm from. We definitely have a lot of white gays going on. I thought the mule comment you made was funny, with the collar around the neck. Some people get the collar taken off and love putting it back on. I thought that was interesting that you explained it that way. I couldn't explain it better. I honestly love the show, and you and Tone as well. I'm definitely excited getting through tonight and being able to speak to you. But I'm going to let someone else go. I don't want to take up too much time.
Okay, fam. Appreciate it. Appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you calling in and checking in. The white gaze is a problem. Yeah, that old harness or whatever you want to call it that they put on people. Well, I ain't gonna do this, and I said I ain't gonna. Okay, yeah, you gonna be the mule. Just stop all this protesting and just go be the mule right now. And that's what you're kind of doing. We're gonna show up in Washington. You're gonna be the mule. 832. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, I'm Jack from Texas.
What's going on, Jack from Texas?
No, just calling. I think you're wrong about the down ballot thing because the reason the Democrats pander to Latinos is because Donald Trump got 30% of the Latino vote. And that's why they're offering open borders and free health care to Latinos. We don't owe our vote to Democrats at all. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I will have black people voting for the Democrats for 50 years. It's been 50 years. The Democrats have not done anything for black people at all since then. And we don't have to give our vote to Democrats.
But let's not mix up things. We're talking about Democratic presidents. Right, and if we vote down ballot, we're not giving our vote to Biden. Like if we don't vote for him, we're not giving our vote to Biden.
We got people like Kim Classic, who's running in Baltimore as a Republican. She's a black woman. We can't we're gonna vote down ballot Democrats and not know what these people are offering for us.
Yeah, but she was pandering. She was pandering to.
They have a black agenda. They're not offering anything for us.
Yeah, but I saw.
If we keep voting for the same thing, we're gonna get the same result.
We're not voting for the same thing. But I'm not gonna vote for somebody who walks through the ghetto in high heels and says stuff that don't make sense either. Like, see, I'm not reflexive. I'm not gonna go from one panderer to the other panderer. Now, if you had a Republican there who was talking about a black agenda and reparation, what I want to talk about, then that's kind of then you could talk to me, a local Republican or whatever. Then we can have a conversation. I'm not opposed to that. But she's pandering too. I'm not going now. And let me just say to them, if I have a Democrat here who's a local Democrat who's pandering and saying BS and carrying party lines, I'm not going to vote for them either. Either I'm going to write in or vote for somebody else. I'm not voting for pandering people, but I am going to show up and make a decision line by line about who I'm going to vote for. But I wouldn't vote for. I'm not.
Let me ask you this, Yvette. Name one Democrat who says they're for reparations. Name one Democrat running right now.
Well, no, I'm talking locally. There are a lot of local Democrats who say they're for, who are beginning to say they're for reparations.
Well, give me some names. You can say.
No, I'm not gonna give you. I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't work for you.
Can I get a name?
No, I don't work for you though.
Huh?
I don't work for you. See, the thing is, I don't.
Well, no, we're having a conversation. You say.
No, we are.
Give me a name.
We are having a conversation, but I decide what I say in the conversation and what I don't say. I'm not going to be bullied by you.
That's because you have no Democrats running right now who are saying they're for reparations.
You just had. Wait a minute.
Not senator, not Congress, not on the local level.
You've seen a lot of local. Now I don't agree with the kind of reparations a lot of these local states are talking about. I don't agree with that. But you see a lot. Hold on. Can I finish?
You agree with that?
Can I finish? Can I finish my first sentence and then you can?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that there are a lot of people on the local level who are saying that. We just had it in California with Antonio and they're passing a bill there that's supposed to be exclusively for descendants of slavery. That's in California. That's one place those lawmakers are doing that. And you can go back and look on Antonio's feed and find the lawmakers and you can find the language. So you can, I don't know their names. I'm not in California. So I don't know their names, but you can go look it up on your own time. Now, in terms of looting being reparations, no, I don't agree with that. But Black Lives Matter doesn't have leadership. And when you don't have leadership, you have people that say all kinds of wild and stupid things that don't make sense.
Well, let me tell you this. If 40% of black people voted for Donald Trump this time, the next day you would have Democrats pandering to black people saying, what can we do for you? Because when you give 99% of the vote to the Democrat Party, the Republicans say we can never get the votes, and the Democrats say, well, we already got the votes. We don't have to do nothing for them because they're going to vote for us anyways. And that's the damn truth, Yvette. Face it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Democratic down ballot isn't voting for Joe Biden. Like, so when you have Democratic down ballot, we're not. You keep,
gotta see what they're gonna
you keep going back.
We can't just vote Democrat. Oh, it's a Democrat.
You gotta.
What are you gonna do for me? I'm just
no, wait a minute. This is wait a minute. This is not a. But this is not a conversation. This is not a conversation.
Making sense of that. Come on, sister girl.
You gotta listen.
What are you gonna do to me to make my?
Listen. I muted you because you don't know how to have a conversation. I talk, you talk. I talk, you talk. I talk, you talk, you talk, I talk. You can't talk over me. That's not going to work. I have a button. Talking over me is not going to work. Now, I'm going to try to unmute you, but if you have some libations, you got to calm down. Just, come on, Yvette. Come on, man. Listen, this is what I'm saying, and then I will try to unmute the man, and hopefully he will calm down. We have to let each other talk. It's not a conversation if you're just going to talk over me. I'm not going to be bullied by anybody, not ever. So what I'm saying is this: stop bringing up the president, because the thing is, if we vote down ballot and we're not voting for Biden, you can't pull the card of, well, Republicans, well, Democrats say you're gonna vote for them anyway. If we're not voting for you, you can't pull that next go round. That's not going to be a tool that you can use. So let's take that off the table. Now I'm gonna try to unmute you. I do the best. I try. Hello.
Oh, okay. We shouldn't vote down ballot. We should vote for the person that's going to do the best for our community, being Republican, Democrat, or Independent. That's the problem you get into, is that you're like, oh, I'm a Democrat. I work for Democrats. I'm never going to vote Republican. You should vote for the party that's going to do the best for you and your people. You can't just be like, oh, I hate Trump, but when Kim Kardashian went over there and, you got the First Step back, Donald Trump did more for black people than Barack Obama. Do you want to dispute that with me?
I don't want to have a conversation about those two people, no. I'm not a fan of either of them.
Yes, but I'm saying Donald Trump has done more for black people than Barack Obama.
Listen. You're talking about a man who zeroed out budgets in terms of stuff that will help us. I'm not going to get into that. If you want to vote for Trump, I'm not going to stop you. Listen, if you can find a Republican in your area who is doing more for you than the Democrat in your area, if they're in terms of budget outlays and what they're doing, knock yourself out. I'm talking about what I push, and what I am talking about is what the Democrats owe us, right? In terms of that's who we give our vote to and don't get anything in exchange. I can't tell you, and I'm not going to try to tell you what to do in your own district. No, I'm not in favor of the woman you're talking about. But if you find somebody else who you think is best for you, you knock yourself out. That's just not what I'm advocating. You are an individual, though, and you are free to make individual decisions.
All I'm saying is Lyndon B. Johnson said 50 years, the 50 years are up. Black people need to start voting Republican again. That's their party, and they need to get it back.
All right, knock yourself out. We can't take it that long. Woo-wee, y'all can't have these many libations. I know I was late, but sometimes you just can't start the libations early. You can't start the libations early. You gotta wait until the really and truthfully, you gotta wait till the show starts. You can put the libation down. If your libation is alcoholic libation, you can put it down, but you can't start it. I think some people tonight have started some kind of libation that is not non-alcoholic. Now, some of y'all gonna have to start taking herbal teas. This is too much. Anyway, I'm going to my next call. I am going to 901. 901, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi,
hey.
My name is Francine Johnson. I'm from Fayette County, Tennessee. We are down here, ADOS. We got a Memphis, trying to have a Memphis chapter for ADOS.
Okay.
I'm actually part of the Democratic Party in Fayette County, and I've been going around pretty much mask on, social distancing, knocking on doors, because we have an election coming up. We just had our primary earlier in August. And one of the things I've noticed about my home County is Hardeman County, right next door. So I'm nestled in between Memphis, Tennessee, which is Shelby County, then it's Fayette County. And one of the things that happened in Fayette County is really a national, it should be part of our history, for sure. It's called Tent City, when a lot of black men were trying to get a union going. They kicked us out of school, kicked us out of everywhere, and we were in a tent for over a year, like 400 days.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. It was back in the 60s. Back in the 50s and 60s, my mom was a big advocate, activist, and she was involved in all of that. But as I was going around and talking to a lot of older people and things like that, about the vote and all of that, and it's amazing how many young men that I have walked into, they don't even have a place to stay. They say, oh, I stay here. I stay there sometimes. I stay down the street. I'm like, where do you stay, man? I mean, like, what is your address? Like, but they're felons. And so we have a lot of rental space here. Okay. And I was talking to one of them. I talked to one. I went to one house, talked to him. He's like, well, I can't vote. I'm a felon, so I got his information. And I noticed an older lady at the next house. I went and talked to her. She's like, oh, that was my son that you were talking to next door. And while I was talking to her, this white man pulled up. And, I'm from the South. We used to white folks just pulling up, probably a friend, something like that. And the entire vibe changed. So I knew who he was. He might have owned that house, because the first thing because I had on my sister's actually running for state senate in Tennessee in District 26. That's why I'm going door to door. So I'm telling people, go out to vote. Remember to vote. Are you registered? And all of this. So I had on her T-shirt. And he didn't even say anything to anybody. He just looked at me and said, is this a Republican or is this a Democrat? And I looked at him and I was like, I'm me, first of all. You don't need to come up and just are asking about me, who I am and what I am. I was like, don't you worry about all of that. But this lady's whole demeanor changed. And she might have been like 70 or something like that. But I knew all that stuff that she'd been telling me about, we got to get the vote, we got to do this and that, there was more, there's so much more to this story. And it made me realize we really have a lot to do. Rural America is no joke, for real. It is not urban, and I live in Atlanta. I actually got hooked up on you when I was in Atlanta. I was like, yeah, this girl is what I'm talking about. This is what my mama been talking about. I'm with this lady. So, and I moved back up here like a year. Like I got hooked on you about 2016. Okay. Early 2016. I had moved back to Tennessee in 2017. But I've been keeping up. And I've been telling people about you. And the men are so much more into what you're saying than I think the women are. Like there are a lot of women that I've talked to that are into it, but the men are very much, they're tired of a bunch of mess. They're just tired of it, and they really want to be a part of something. But I see the handicap firsthand where they have made, like my little brother, he's my brother from my dad who was Rolling Stone kind of person. But anyways, my little brother. And he's a felon. And it was for the most craziest thing. Like he was in his car picking up somebody else. And I know, and the thing is, we're a very small town. So we know the police officers by name. We know the sheriff's people. We know all these folks by name. We grew up with them. And all of this. So we like, so-and-so came out when I went to pick up so-and-so, and they said that my car smelled like weed, so they pulled me out, searched my car, and it really wasn't his car, it was his sister's car, and he ends up with a felony because of a smell that was in the car. And that kind of stuff happens all the time down here. They will do and the thing is, you grew up with these people. We grew up with we look at these people, we know these people by name, and they know us, and we are still very much on a plantation. Still very much on a plantation, because I was just listening to Tori, and he was saying, Sophie Carmichael, he was saying, your emancipation, you did not get emancipated if you became a debtor right after that. If you had to be a sharecropper, if people running around shooting you, you had nowhere to go. But then you have these immigrants come over here. They can't even come over here unless they're citizens. An immigrant from 1965 can't come over here. You know, like the Obamas and the Harrises. They can't come over here without stuff. But we didn't have that. We didn't get no stuff. All we got is freedom to be indebted to white folks, to the very white folks that we were trying to get away from. That's what we got. So that we've never not been unslaved.
Well,
we've never not been. That's what we're fighting for. And that's what I tell people. We're fighting to not be enslaved anymore. If you know that you own the street that has your last name on there, that's your. They done named the street and has to have your last name. It's not you. It's from a plantation that you come from, and you still living on that same street. You still living in that same area. You've never been free. You still live in a shack. We still got shacks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, fam. You're exactly right. And I don't think people really. I'm gonna let you go and let another caller in, but I don't think that that people really understand the kind of I don't know what to thank you, caller. I don't know what to call it, but the tenant landlord situation that still exists on a lot of these rural areas, right? So they still kind of, and that's kind of how they come down and do intimidation too. Like, what are you doing, or what's going on over here? What's going on over here, gal? They'll still say that kind of stuff, and so we're not free in that sense of, you know, where you can just independently see what you're saying, boy, and you talk to the white man. You know, you can't. We're in a situation where they just kind of write laws, and it doesn't matter whether or not it's funny. Like she said, well, we know these people. You know, people always say, well, if you grow up together and you go to school together, and it won't be you still grow up knowing that you're different. I'm better than you. There's a hierarchy, and that people kind of fall within that hierarchy, and they have a good life and you have a life that you have, and they've understood from a long time that this is the hierarchy. That is whiteness. Whiteness may not be what it was in terms of you don't get to have a plantation, but you still get to lord over a group, right? Especially in these areas that we're talking about. So, I mean, that's another issue. That's another issue. And the guy who was just calling talking about Trump, it's not as if, like, you say, well, vote for the party that's that does the best for your group. It's not like Trump offered me reparations and a transformative black agenda and I said no. You know, that's not what happened. What we have a situation where we have the Republicans who aren't doing anything, and then we have the Democrats who have decided that they're just going to use us for votes. We're in a situation where we don't have a political home, and that's a problem. I don't see that we have one. So Democratic down ballot for me means that I don't owe Trump a vote, and I don't owe Biden a vote. I don't owe either of these people a vote. Now, at the end of the day, when they come back, both of these groups are gonna have to say what happened to the Negroes. Republicans less than Democrats, because they don't really get much of our vote anyway. But Democrats are gonna have to say what happened to these people. They showed up to vote. They were here. They voted for somebody. They just didn't vote for us. And what do we have to do to get this group back? You have to find a way to hold them accountable. You have to do it at the voting booth. And showing up angry and voting for them with a frown is still voting for them. And I'm talking about the top of the ballot. That's not the bottom of the ballot, and you can't even speak of the bottom of the ballot. Like, you're speaking on this one woman in Baltimore. You can't speak on everybody. You can't speak on what's going on everywhere. So anyway, fam, let me go back. So I'm going to take one last call. Calls be blowing up lately. I don't know. What is the deal? I am going now to let me see. Is anybody here who hasn't called? I'm going right now to a 310. What's going on?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Yvette. Hey, fam. This is Amara. I'm calling from LA.
Hey.
And I've been wanting to call in. Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
It's rough out here. It's so rough out here. I caught on to you like late 2017, and I've been, just obsessed with trying to do my part and, turn this whole thing around. And, as we approach the election, I've been sharing the videos, doing what everybody's telling us to do. You got to share and you got to speak to your family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I got tired of individually texting this group of ladies that I've been texting, and these women, it's a group of women, about 13 of them, and they're all women who shaped, mentored, or loved on me at some point in my life. So, women that I respect. And, some of them have PhDs, some of them, professional women, and just, regular, simple folk, too. And so anyway, in an effort to, just hit everybody, kill several birds with one stone, I created a group chat.
Okay.
And what did I do after? What did I do after?
Huh?
I got in so much trouble. And these women, they're boomers, and maybe a few a silent generation. I think the oldest one, my auntie, I won't say her name, but I think she's 81 now, and maybe the youngest one is like 69. But they are angry. They don't want to hear about, a voting down ballot or, voting anything other than Democrat, and just really angry. And I don't understand why. And I explain, I hit all the talking points. I explain how we don't owe the Dems or the Republicans anything. We have no dogs in this fight. And they just keep coming back at me with, we got to get 45 out. Like they're obsessed. They sound like, I don't know, like the Borg.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, the thing is, there's so much propaganda. Like when you listen to the news, and that's what, let me just say this. They are obsessed with, like, you got to get 45 out. And, like, I do say, like, Trump is worse than what we've had in recent history, right? But I remember the same thing when we were talking about, like, Obama, and we were talking about Mitt Romney, and everybody was just like, and I was talking about an agenda. And this was Mitt Romney versus Donald Trump, like two different people, Republicans, but two different people. And everybody was like, we can't worry about that. We just got to make sure that we can't let Mitt Romney get in there. That's all. We can't worry about that, Yvette. We just got to let. And what I'm saying is to say it happens every time. Yes, it's more urgent and it's easier now because it's Trump. But every time, that's what they use to say that, like, we can't have an agenda. We can't worry about that. We just got to, this person is so off. And I was like,
and you should see some of them. And then one of my aunties, like, just wild. She was wild in the chat. And she turned everybody off because she was cursing and acting up. And you could see, from the ones with holding PhDs on down to the simple ones, they just want to vote. They just want to go out, vote, and feel good that they voted. And it's insane. And I'm just like, what about us? What about the grandbabies? What about your great-grands that you're leaving behind? And they were angry, calling me all sorts of, now some of them were calling me stupid and dumb. I was like, wow.
Well, I don't know what kind of,
we're at.
Let me just say, I don't know, I don't know, fam. It's one thing to disagree. It's another thing to be so disagreeable and angry with me as a person who's supposed to love me and shape me that you're going to call me stupid. Now, that's where I draw a line, fam. Like, it's one thing for us to disagree, but you ain't going to call me stupid, old lady. I'll mollywop you. You're not going to call me stupid. Like, you're not going to do that to me. So, I'm right and you wrong. So and let me tell you, when they cut your Social Security or whatever happens, you're going to don't call me, well, I can't make ends meet. I don't care. Like, because a lot of this stuff, see, a lot of these people are very comfortable. Now, post-COVID, when they start dealing with that deficit, and when they start dealing with Biden, or whether you get Biden or Trump, they're going to deal with this deficit. When they start dealing with this deficit, some of this stuff get cut that they're used to, then they're going to feel it. And then you're just going to have to remind them, listen, I said we have to do something transformative to push people to move in our direction in terms of politics. Y'all did none of that. So, don't come to me. Do not come to me.
And there's a few of them who, like the ones with the PhDs, I could tell that they somehow have a connection with Kamala because, she's educated and, this, that, there, and the third. And I'm just like, no, absolutely not. But they, again, whatever their deal is, they just want to do it and they want to feel good about it. And they don't want you telling them nothing other than that. And it got so crazy that I tried to delete the chat, but because we all have different carriers, you can't delete the chat. So I tried to tell these crazy heifers, y'all got to stop with your messages because every time you put a message up, it just keeps the chat going. This went on for several days, and boy, I was in trouble. They was on my mom's head. Mama was like, "What have you done?"
Yeah, tell my mama
I'm just trying to do my part.
Mama, don't come to me and talking about what have I done. I'm grown. I did what grown people do now. Now I'm gonna be respectful, but don't come over here talking about what have you done. Now don't come over here applying pressure, because
Exactly.
the thing is everybody wants to treat us like something's wrong with us. Come on, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry, fam. Go ahead.
Right. In the end, I was real gracious. I was real gracious, and I just, bowed out and just was like, okay, y'all, you do what you do, but this is where we're at. And then I got into it about John Lewis. One of them was going on and on about John Lewis, and I was like, oh my God, y'all, really? And then another one, she wanted to talk about the ACLU and what they were doing for Jewish folks, and I was just like, wow.
What is they talking about?
Right. And these women, I'm talking about nationwide family. Like I have one in North Carolina, one in Kentucky. My auntie in Kentucky, her husband is a retired professor. How do you say that word, Yvette? Emeritus?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Of history. He's got the nerve to have a PhD in history, Black studies, and she ain't want to hear it either. She was the first one. Take me out of this chat. I'm like, oh my God.
They don't like to throw tantrums. Take me out of here. Oh, you can go, child. You can go. Don't let the doorknob hit you now.
In Kentucky. This one was in Kentucky, Washington State, everywhere, just nationwide. Here they is, and they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. They just want to vote Democrat, just blind but Democrat, and just feel good.
Well, they view voting like a team sport, right? And it's very immature, and it's very pedestrian, and it's very infantile, and it's very elementary. But they view voting like a team sport. It's almost as if, like, I'm in Georgia, so you go to a Falcons game, or if you go, I don't watch sports. Who's Hawks or whatever, and you root for your team, and people, people feel good because their team won, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying politics isn't that, and that's how they view politics. I'm a member of the Democratic team. I just want this team to win, and the team that you should be on is ADOS, and instead you're on a Democratic team.
Our team.
Yeah. But what I will say, fam, is that post-COVID, there's nobody who's not going to get hit. Even the person you were talking about. I read a very good article about the professor, about how many Negroes are getting purged from professorships and stuff like that. Everybody's about to get touched. Is the best way I can put it. So when you get touched, I don't want to hear nothing. Don't hear nothing, because if you vote for Biden and Biden gets in there and you get touched, I don't want to hear nothing else about how you said we had to vote for Biden. It was going to be all right, and he was going to make everything okay, but you got touched. So everybody is about to learn. I've been saying this for a long time, and COVID just sped it up. But I said everybody's gonna learn. Everybody's about to learn. All that stuff they hold on to and they hold dear to, they're gonna realize, oh no, this don't work. And it's going to be too late. Just don't let them come to you asking for stuff. Because people love to say, well, I did it wrong. But
I'm going to stay doing my part. As ADOS out here in California, we own it. and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I appreciate you and Antonio. Like, this was right on time.
Thank you, fam.
And I just hope the entire community catch on and wake up already.
Thank you, fam. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, fam. That was an interesting story. But let me just say this. They're going to have to catch something. They're going to have to catch something. And I don't know. The thing we got to understand is, and I think that's my last call for the night, fam. We're at that time. But I think what we have to understand is, if these people who you're talking to aren't even willing to hear you out in terms of what you think is best politically, even if you were a Republican on the line, I could understand them debating you and saying you're wrong. Just like me and the man just debated. He tried to talk over, libations. Just okay. But they won't even give you a hearing, and they call you names. I think once that kind of happens, you have to kind of reassess him and reassess them, the people on that line, and say, well, these people aren't even listening to me. They've gotten theirs, and they're willing to die on that. I've gotten mine, and I don't really care what happens to you. I'm going to go and vote for the people I want to vote for to make myself feel good. And at that point, I kind of question a little bit, I don't know how much I don't know what your level of care is for me and the next generation. So I have to then turn towards caring for myself outside of you and not including you. Now, don't come to me when I'm caring for myself so much and investing of myself so much that I don't have anything left for you when the COVID cuts come. Because you've shown me that you're all for you. So I have to be for me and ADOS who believe in this thing that we're doing. You obviously don't believe. So you're not a part of the group. Don't come to me now talking, well, we family. No, you weren't acting like family. You were acting like I was stupid, and you ran and told my mama like I ain't grown. So I have to, like, it's what you have to understand when people talk to you like that is it becomes life or death. Because now you realize I have to take care of myself. Because if something happens, they're going to tell me I didn't do what's right. And they're going to tell me whatever. I have to take care of myself. I have to be seriously about taking care of myself and my group collective. And these people have told me that they're not a part of my collective. That like they're not a part of ADOS or a larger community that includes allies. They've said they're not a part of that. They've said that they're a part of a democratic ship. Well, we can't have two ships. We have to have a ship that's best for ADOS. We can't have all these other kind of ships where you just decide you're going to do what's best for Democrats in spite of ADOS. Right? So that becomes a problem. And I think the big problem that we're all going to face is that we're going to have to deal with that in our own homes and spaces. I just will tell you that I'm not going to be disrespected. I'm not going to deal with somebody who's going to call my mama. Like, I'm grown. You don't call my mama on nothing. You a grown lady. You handle this woman to woman. What you doing? What kind of games you playing? That's disrespectful. It just is what it is to me. So, fam, everybody going to have to figure it out. Please hit that like button. Please share. If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/Wacarnell if you are so inclined. ADOSmerch.com if you are so inclined. White shirts are still on back order if you were wondering. Also, what else I was going to say? Oh, hit that bell. Also, look on Twitter when I think it's around time for the show. I put it up on Twitter all the time. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. That costs you no money. So just hit subscribe or hit the like button. Costs you absolutely nothing. It's a great way to support the channel. As is hitting that bell or checking to make sure the bell is hit. All of that good stuff costs you no monies. So many ways to support the show without monies. So I would appreciate that, fam. Also, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, that link will be in the bio. Fam, be easy breezy. Somebody said Malt Liquor Mondays. Who did that? Who said that? Anyway, yeah, it kind of sounds like that a little bit here. But fam, take care of yourself. Be safe. I saw videos of some of y'all acting like COVID is over. It's not. Sometimes I look at y'all's timelines and your Twitters and I see things and you be out and about videos with no masks and stuff and just carrying on something terrible. I see you. Anyway, stop it. And I will see you next time, family. Be easy breezy.